Ken, maybe we'll just start with the couple of rookie games we saw here. Did anything stand out? Obviously, you guys only got one goal, but what did you think of how the team played overall?
Well, both games were close. Goaltending obviously was. All three guys played excellent in the games. Obviously, you'd like to score some goals. I thought some players played pretty well, and others didn't play as well as we had hoped or expected. But it's still a long way to go. There's 3 weeks to go. Obviously, some of those players that played in that game are players that we want to see play in the NHL preseason games.
How many of the guys are going to bring to main camp from your rookies?
I think we're going to cut 2 or 3 kids here. We were talking Tip and Keith Gretzky, myself. Most of them through the weekend. I know we're going to make some probably moves on Sunday or Monday as we get into preseason games. I think it's for some young players it's valuable to be around the NHL players, get some experience even if they don't play NHL games, just to get the feel the pace for 3 or 4 days before they go back to junior hockey. So that's what we'll do.
What is the feeling for these guys when they first get into camp, and is it often a reaction, especially when they're rookies, that they might be a little bit intimidated, and how they react to that, is that important?
Yeah, I think that's why the rookie games or prospect games for me are so important for those young players. It's an opportunity to get their feet wet, get a little comfortable, and then obviously things are going to get cranked up. Over the next 4 to 6 weeks, every week it starts to get cranked up. Early in preseason, it's half NHL, half American leaguers. You get near the end of preseason, you're starting to get closer to a roster. Then you got opening night, and then 2 weeks into the season, the veterans start to get their game cranked up. So you try to see which players can keep going, and as you go along, some young players start to get to a point in the camp where it's a bit much at that point in time in their career, and it's a learning experience. That's what I'm gonna watch here over the next month.
Getting into Dave have talked about making competition in the bottom 6 guys pushing for spots. What does somebody have to do to emerge as a winner of one of those spots ultimately?
Well, I think when you're in the bottom, when you're in the bottom 6, you're looking for a lot of things. I mean, obviously, one of the things we're penalty killing. We've signed some players that have penalty killed in other cities. Can we find some chemistry between pairs, and we need some penalty killing. Then we want to get some secondary scoring. You'd like to be able to have some size and maybe spend some time in the offensive zone. So over the 7 preseason games, that'll be an opportunity. Those guys are going to play lots of games. So they're all going to play probably 4, 5, 6 games. So we're trying to see who's going to make the team, but at the same time, who's going to complement one another to form line combinations, and then obviously who's going to play more minutes and what role they're going to have on the team. Those are the things that we're going to try to figure out here over the next 3 weeks.
Have your star players kill penalties?
I think, Jim, my take would be for the most part, no. But I do think that there's sometimes you get to a big game, sometimes yes. But I think for the most part, you like to have people with different roles. In Detroit, we obviously had Zetterberg and Datsuk. They killed penalties, and so I've Mike Babcock at times in Detroit had our best players killing penalties than not. So I think depends on the game, depends on how. If we can find some people that can really do a good job on penalty killing, then obviously they might get out. Those best players will get out for the last 20 or 30 seconds leading into a 5-on-5 shift. But for the most part, I'd like to have people have different roles. I think that it makes good chemistry on the team.
Ken, heading into training camp, how many games, exhibition games, would you like to see McDavid play? I know you guys don't know where he's at now, but what would be ideal for you guys?
If he was healthy, or in this situation?
Well, if he was healthy, or in this.
Well, I think if he was healthy, probably a 7-2 or 3. But obviously it's a unique situation. So he's either 1 at most, or very likely 0. We've got 3 weeks to go, and that's I said somebody here. I mean, we're going to be conservative. I'd rather be safe than sorry. he's not ready for opening night, he's not ready for opening night. I've been. He was obviously in Toronto all summer. He's got a group of people there that were working with him on his rehab. Mark Lindsay and Gary Roberts, and obviously Jeff Jackson, his agent. There were some other people. I got constant videos, 1 and 2 videos a week of him skating and training. And our training staff, our doctors were in communication. We had some conference calls early. I took over in May, so May and June. And then they communicated our staff with their staff. And I think that everything we've heard all along has been positive. You guys have seen him skate. He's involved in, he's scrimmaging and he's doing things 3-on-3 down low. So I think he's in a great spot. But we might as well be conservative and safe.
Sounded a few weeks ago like there were a few teams nibbling around the edges on a trade with the SC. Since his start over there, is that interest remain? Has it picked up at all, or how would you characterize things now, a week or two?
I haven't really. I believe there's teams out there that are interested. Obviously, I didn't get anything that I felt that worth pushing to the final stages and getting a deal done. So you get into late August and everything kind of goes quiet, and then now you've got everybody's had prospect tournaments all over the league, so it's kind of gone quiet. We'll see. I'm not going to force something if it's there, Ryan. I'll explore it. If it's not there, I'm prepared to sit.
Ken, you've always been very patient with young players. What's your thoughts on Bouchard? He's obviously excellent talent with the puck. The defensive game, Dave talked about it earlier this week. Goals against has to be a limit or cut down significantly. Are you leaning for him to be a guy who gets some seasoning in the American League and learn to be a pro there first?
I guess from afar, my philosophy has always been to be very patient with young players. Now, I did put Dylan Larkin on the Detroit Red Wings when he was 19. So, for every rule, there's an exception. I thought he played very well the two rookie games. I think he was our best conditioned athlete by all the testing of the rookies. So he's put his work in the summer. I want to watch him play in preseason, and obviously there's, you got some 3-4, you got Persson who came over from Sweden, we got Lagesson, Bear, Jones from the American League, you got Bush, you got Samorukov, and then you got all the Manning, and you got all those other players that were on the team. So I'm looking forward to watching. I think Tip and I are looking forward to watching in preseason and seeing how it all shapes out. We're going to carry 7. He's not fighting for 7 spots. He's fighting for 6 spots. My philosophy always is, as you're putting the roster together, I'll say to the head coach, you're playing tomorrow, tell me who's in the lineup. And if a young player's not in the lineup, he's going to the American League. If he's in the lineup, then we have a further conversation about where he fits. I'd rather make the call during the season to call the player up than to make the call during the season to send the player down. I think it's easier on their mind, their mentality to be working their way up than down. So the young players have to take the job from a veteran.
Ken, you've got Mike Smith, a pretty vocal guy on the ice, off the ice. James Neal, another veteran. 2 guys that I would think would help with the leadership of this club. Obviously McDavid's the captain, but how much do you think those 2 guys will help with their experience and the fact that they are pretty vocal and they'll help lead?
Well, I think it's important to have obviously veteran leadership. I think when you're the, in today's world where everyone talks about the leadership group, there's a group of people in that locker room that really drive your team. Certainly those are 2 vets that have had a lot of success in their careers. Obviously Tip has coached both of them at some point in time in their career. So they're going to be really important on the ice and off the ice to the success of the hockey team. So we're excited that they're here. That's part of the reason that we did the deals and did the signings is we were trying to bring in some people with some veteran leadership. I always think it's important to have some older people in that locker room, because when things are rocky, and over an 82-game season, there's a good chance you're going to have some rocky patches. that players that have been through it can kind of keep everybody calm.
Pete, can you talk about the prospects? In Detroit, you had a team that went to Traverse City year
Yep.
after year. No prospect tournament for the Oilers in Calgary. You want that back on in some form next year if possible? With 3 or 4
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing what we, I've enjoyed the 2 games with Calgary. The Traverse City tournament's a pretty special tournament. Just, there's 8 teams. I think it's a tournament format. And I guess for me at this, we've told the young players that the development camp in June is education. This is evaluation. So, 3 or 4 games you'd prefer to evaluate versus 2, but certainly enjoyed watching the 2 games. But that's something that I'll look into here over the next couple of months.
Well, you live in Vernon. I'm sure you get it.
Yeah.
It's
Well, you got to have some teams to play with too. So I got to see what can't just jump on a plane and fly out there by yourselves.
Ken, it is very late in the season. Any PTO possibilities?
Right now, no.
And there's talk that you might be interested in a Russian player, Berdyshev. Is that are we wrong there? Or no?
His name's Shopped. Obviously, Rich Winter is local guy's his agent. I'm not sure what. I've talked to Rich a lot, or Rich has talked to me a lot. I'm not sure what he's doing, but certainly I think he might stay in Europe. He might come over on a PTO here or somewhere. So we'll find out here in the next few days.
Sort of interested.
Well, on a PTO, there's nothing to lose.
Okay.
Your guy comes in, Now I do know that I talked to Dave Tippett. When we were talking about PTOs, the coaches like to they're building their camp and they like to have certain numbers and they want to be able to. They don't want to have too little and they don't want to have too many. They like the right number to be able to make sure that the players get their work in. So those certainly are factors.
Okay, very
Good.
Thank
Thanks.
you.